We were asked to talk briefly about this program, which comes out of the Hannon Centre, which is a Canadian organisation. The Hannon Centre have developed lots of programs for parents and for teachers and for professionals that they use to support children's early language development. So the presentation that Sue and I gave today was called It Takes Two to Talk, based on a program that comes out of the Hannon Centre in Canada, and we were talking about some language tips and strategies that parents can use all day, every day, throughout their days to encourage language development and language facilitation with their children, and to really help them have really effective interactions with their children as they're just going through their daily routines.
Some of the tips that we were sharing with them today was, following their child's lead rather than being the one that makes all the decisions. How to tune in to their child's activities and see what they are interested in, and following that, adding to what their child was saying or signing so that we can get interactions going, taking turns. A big thing was waiting so that their child has a chance to respond, doing those sort of things.
So we're going to look at the what, the why, the who, the where, the when, and the how. So starting off with the what, we talked a bit about interaction before. So when two people communicate back and forth through whatever means, what they're actually doing with or without words is taking part in an interaction. That's what we're really wanting to facilitate more of with our children. To be successful in this interaction, children need to be able to start an interaction, and then they need to be able to respond when an interaction is initiated by someone else as well. So the big kind of message of the what part is that what we want to be doing is following your child's lead. Really important for us to follow whatever the child is interested in. And they can show us this in a myriad of different ways, from the signs and words they use, to a look, to a gesture, to a smile, whatever. Who's going to be following the lead in the interactions? It's going to be the tuned in you. So it's the you that's watching your child to see what signs they're giving you about what they're interested in, and then you are straight in there. You're tuned in and you're straight in following their lead. And when? Any time. During all your daily routines and activities. So it's bath time, it's dinner time, it's when you go for a walk, it's play time, it's whatever time. When you're driving in the car is a great time to try and get those interactions going. Sometimes you might want to create opportunities though. So you might want to do things like hiding objects. So your child, that they're going to want the Thomas the Tank Engine train, so you just put it behind a cushion so that they have to make have some interaction to try and find that Thomas the Tank Engine train. And then you look out for those little signs. So it might be that they're just standing there looking around, and you tune in straight away and you're onto that. Giving two choices. Do you want the Marmite or the honey? Great way to get an interaction started. Offering a little bit and then waiting. So something like bubbles is a good frame for that. So you're blowing some bubbles. They're loving that. They're saying pop, it's all great. And then you stop and you wait for them to somehow indicate that they want more. It might just be a look, and then you blow some more. It might be some words. It might be a sign. It might be a gesture. It might be a cry. But it's some kind of interaction that indicates they want some more. So we're going to talk through some of these strategies, some in a bit more detail than others. Most of these are things that come from the parent program that we talked about, but they're actually just really good general language strategies. So the first one, and the easiest one, is what we call get face-to-face. So I don't want to be up here while my child's down here playing on the floor. I want to be down low, face-to-face with them, so that I can connect and share. It's easier for them to hear and see me, and it's easier to encourage that child to take the lead. They know I'm right with them. I'm right down at their level. I'm in with them. The next one, OWL, stands for observe, wait, and listen or look. So we want to observe what the child's doing so we can follow their interests. So that means observing their body language, their actions, their facial expressions, anything that gives us an indication of where their interest is. So we want
That's the hardest.
it's very hard.
You want to get in there. Often, so waiting can be, a good skill to have. Just wait.
Yep. And sometimes that means just counting for 10 in your head. That's my little strategy. I just count to 10. So we have to stop talking. Lean in, get close, get face to face, get close, lean in, and then have a kind of expectant look on your face. Not a big kind of... But just, so that they know that you're waiting for them, that you're right there with them to see what's going to happen next. And as soon as they do something, we can respond. How you respond will be different depending on your child's stage and level of language development. But you respond straight away. And then you listen or you look if your child's a signer. If they're not using words, we can substitute look for listen. Imitate. Copy their sounds, their words, their signs, their actions, their gestures, their smiles, their nods, their bangs, whatever. That banging's a great example. So it's just imitate, because then there's confidence building for them. If you do it, if they do it, you do it, they know that they've done something pretty good, and you can keep that interaction going. Interpret. So putting into signs or words what you think they're trying to tell you. You might not get it right, doesn't matter, you're trying. So it might be that sound, you're not quite sure what it means, but you can interpret it as perhaps maybe not for a 7-month-old, I don't know, a growly monster kind of sound or something. So you hear a sound or a word, you're pretty sure you know what it means, interpret it as such and carry on. They'll soon tell you if you haven't done it right. We talked about interactions. We want our child to initiate the interactions, respond to the interactions. We want them also to stay in those interactions for as long as we can, not to lose interest. So the way to get them to stay in interactions is to take turns. Turns can look different. A turn might be a look, it might be a point, it might be a gesture, it might be a word, it might be a phrase.
It might be a knock.
Could be a knock, yep. So it could be all range of different things. We need to be tuned into those turns, recognise them as such, and then respond. A question is another good cue. When we're going to talk about questions next, we don't want to overuse questions, so it'll be one question at a time, and then we're going to... Wait. That's right. So choice questions are fantastic. Do you want this? Do you want this? Really good because you can use those visuals as well often because you've got the two things with you. The Marmite and the Nutella. So it's right there. Yes or no questions. Particularly good for children who aren't taking many turns at all, haven't got much language. They can either nod or shake their head to indicate the yes or no. So do you want the milk? They don't want the milk, or they might push it away. And then a little bit further down in the development will be the development of WH type questions, so particularly what, who and where. So we can ask those kind of questions to help keep that interaction going. What we want to try and avoid with questions is these ones. So we don't want to ask too many questions that test, because we're not testing our children. We're interacting with them. We don't want to ask them questions that are too hard. You're not going to go anywhere with that. Don't want to ask questions that aren't following their interest. We don't want to ask too many questions. And we don't want to ask questions that don't give time. A really good thing to do then is to use those 3 types of questions on the left, but also turn your questions into comments. That way you won't be falling into the trap of asking too many questions. Repeat, 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 which is I think what I was talking to Melissa about earlier. Can't stress that enough either. Repeat, repeat, repeat. We don't have to expect them to respond or copy it back, but we need to repeat these words often and in different contexts. So it might be that you're trying to get the concept of a word like on. So you can talk about putting your sock on, put your hat on, put your gloves on. And then in a different context, you can turn the light on, turn the tap on, turn the switch on, put something on the table. So they're hearing that word on over and over and over again, or seeing a sign for the word on over and over and over again. Repeat, repeat, repeat. But don't necessarily expect them to copy that back right now. But you'll be feeding that in over and over.
I hope that the families, the parents today took away with them just some ideas about how to do interactions with their children during the day, that they feel that it's not something that's an added thing that they have to worry about. It's just I've got the skills and strategies to be able to, develop my child's language through just natural interactions during the routines of every day.
Child's lead. Talk about things your child is interested in and extend this language. Remember, use your daily routines for good interactions with your child. There are many opportunities and there are many ways of doing it. Some tips to try: get face to face, join in and play, comment and share. OWL, owl, means observe, wait, for example, in your head, count to 10, and look or listen. Imitate, interpret what they mean, and comment. Take turns. Add language, expand. Questions, choices, yes, no, WH. Remember, be patient. End.